Hi everyone, welcome to week 6, Introduction to Animations. So over the past week, as you can see, I've given you public feedback on your VA1 assignments. I think most of you guys did a pretty good job considering it is your first assignment. And remember the things that I have commented and critiqued, I want them to be improved for VA3, where you're expected to do a much better job technically on this one. Also, I am really proud that all your audio turned out great. There's no peaking, everything was recorded. It was probably the most audio perfect set of assignments I've gotten for the first assignment. You also should have gotten your grades back, and I will have messaged you through Facebook, private message you directly. And I think most of you guys did a pretty good job for the first assignment. So I will, for VA2, today, so your VA2 assignment is due today. It is an editing assignment, assuming I post this on Saturday. But it is due today, and I should be able to give you guys feedback at least through the class, through the lecture, next week. And then if I haven't given you guys written feedback yet and grades, then I'll give that to you at the latest the week after, so you should have it by then. We will be using Adobe After Effects today and also Premiere Pro, and I'm going to teach you how to make different types of graphics through After Effects. So yeah, it's going to be a really long one. This is going to take probably the entire 3 hours. It is very important that when you're watching this, also try to do it yourself through After Effects. And what I've done is that I've created my own script, or at least a minute and a half of a script to basically show you how I'll make animations. And I'm going to start showing you from beginning to end of how I would normally make certain things. So in this script is about Bong Joon-ho, which is the director that won Parasite for the Oscars earlier this month. And I thought he'll be a really good person to do since I was able to come up with graphs and charts. And I have also will put a link of the files you need to download that I'm also using as well. So when you download it, you can also make your own graphics using the ones I'm using. So I hope this isn't too hard, and if you have any questions, remember each class for participation marks, I do expect you to put in 2 comments, either questions or comments, to the Facebook post below. So just reply to that post where I post the lesson, and yeah, just let me know if you have any questions. So first off, this is a script that I wrote about Bong Joon-ho. I figured this is something that's recent and you guys can relate to. He's a director that won Parasite for the at the Oscars. So there are a few parts I want you to see. In the script, I purposely laid out the left and right, which is the video side and then the audio side. So this is my B-roll. So the animations I'm going to be teaching, first of all, this is the first one, a line chart, and then this is a pie chart. I really couldn't get in and be able to figure out how to put in a bar chart, but the bar chart will be similar to how you do a line chart. It's basically a lot of like setting up previously through Excel, setting up your segments, your proportions, and then you hide it through mask. So I will show you that in a bit. And then next one is a map. I'm going to show you how I make a map. And then a Skype interview. That also includes audio waves. Okay. And then a timeline of his life. So I'm going to make a timeline. I'm going to do, so these are the 5 things I'm going to primarily teach you today. But I'm going to start from scratch. So first, take the audio that I gave you and throw it underneath. In row, not the first row, but in the second one. So my first line was,
this quirky thriller has been making history this year when it became the first non-English movie to win Best Picture at the Oscars, the first time in 92 years. Parasite made 165 million.
Okay, so this is a cut. So this is the first part. I want to use the Parasite trailer, which I picked out right here. Around here. And you see this doesn't fill a screen, so I'm gonna go right click, scale to frame size, and so it fills the screen. Remember to source everything. And then I'm going to use my pen tool, put out 2 marks here, just so I can, I do this so I can lower the volume, and then I stretch it back out.
This quirky thriller has been making history this year.
And then, because I don't want to use too much of this, it's already a lot, so I actually screen captured on your iPhone. You can do that. You can capture things that you do on your smartphone. And I captured the actor's Oscar video, which I'm allowed to use. As a journalist, it's considered fair use, as long as you credit them. So I posted it down here. Readjust a little bit. Here you go.
First non-English
and I lowered the volume here.
Movie to win Best Picture at the Oscars, the first time in 92 years.
That's pretty cool, right? So I don't want this black background. New item. You go color matte, and you can pick a color. So I'm gonna do white. White. And then you're gonna raise this to the second layer. Oh. By the way, if you ever see this, like +4, it means it's not synced, okay? It means the video is 4 seconds ahead of the audio. So I have to make sure that it is perfect. There. And now I'm gonna put this white background underneath.
First non-English movie to win Best Picture at the Oscars, the first time in 92 years.
Actually, if you want, you can add text to this, okay? So if you want to do that, let me put it on here. Text. First time in 92 years. First non-English movie to win Best Picture in 92 years. Okay, so I'm gonna have this text now. Okay, so back to here. So if I want to add this text, I'm gonna put this in the side, like so.
Came the first non-English movie.
Okay. And then this next part, I'm gonna do something more simple. So I'm gonna go File, New, Legacy title. This is my text slate now. So what did I say I'm gonna write? This one. So I'm gonna the text is not great, so I'm going to use this one. Okay.
First non-English movie to win Best Picture at the Oscars, the first time in 92 years.
That's pretty cool. So we got some Oscar footage. What's the next one?
Parasite made $165 million off ticket sales.
All right, so now it's time for the graph, for the first graph. You completed your first 20 seconds.
Years. Parasite made $165 million off ticket sales.
So first, what we need to do is we need to build out a background template. So what I mean by that is the background that you see in pretty much all the animations or explainers that you see, and it has a really nice background. It basically makes the entire video. So a nice thing I like to do, someone first taught me this a long time ago, is that there's something called background grunge. And this is a grunge, but I want to do a film section. So I put in the word film. And because this is actually quite small, go to Tools, Size, and make sure it is large. Okay? So that's if that's the case, it'll give you the largest possible. So I kind of like this one. I'm gonna click on it. Okay, I want to actually open image in the tab. Oh, okay, but you see here, there is a watermark all over it, so I can't use this. Forget it. Let me try again. How this one? Open image in tab. Oh. This one's okay. Okay, let's just do this one then. So I just opened a, so I'm gonna put it back into my folder. I'm going to put it into my folder, my bin. I'm going to drag out. But this is not what you're exactly using. You're actually going to work on this, but not exactly this. So what I mean by that is that you're actually not going to use the exact background because that's copyright. But what you can do is you can mess around with it to make it so it's more of your vision of what it looks like. So normally these backgrounds need to be a bit more subdued. This is way too dark. So I put in a white background underneath. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make the opacity a lot lighter. Like this. Maybe something like 50%. Can you kind of see it? And then what you can do is that you can use all these blend mode and see what works. Oh, this is really bright. Gray is a good color. So here's gray. So I'm going to use gray instead of white now.
Parasite made $165 million off ticket sales.
So the first thing we're going to do is a line chart. So I already previously condensed all the graphs and numbers, so don't worry about that. So this is the line chart we're using. Basically, this is all the weeks since it's been in the US box office, so week 1 to week 19, and this is the total gross, but it's in millions. So what you really get is like, first week is actually 0.6 million, and then second week is 2 million, and then by week 19 is 45 million, okay? So how do you actually now put this into, so once you get your chart on your Excel, if you don't know how to use Excel, you have to just YouTube it. But as a fast tutorial, what you basically get is you make sure you input your data, don't have dollar signs, make it as simplified as possible. Because initially this number looks like this. This is what initially looks like. But I cleaned it up by getting rid of the dollar signs And instead of having 45821 for 45,821,489, I shorten it to just this. And then I'm gonna say in the chart is millions. So once you get your data, you highlight everything, go to charts. So you're at home, you go to charts, and then you go line, and voila. So the week is wrong, so I'm gonna get rid of the week right here. And then you have your total gross. Okay? So you're gonna stretch this out. You're gonna highlight it, press on the line, Command copy, and now you're going to Photoshop. So in Photoshop, open the document 1920 by 1080. Okay? And then there you go. Unclick this lock button for background, so be more mobile, and then click this eye to make it transparent now. Now, Command V for pasting it, so paste your document in, and then here it is. You stretch this out to make this as big as possible. So most important thing is this line. Everything else you don't need. Once you click enter, so right here it says this smart object must be rasterized before proceeding. Should you rasterize the smart object? You press OK. So now you can actually edit on this. So what I need you to do after is click on this paint button, paint bucket tool button, and I want you to highlight this line. Basically, I want to change the color. I don't want this specific color, so I'm going to change the color. Okay, and then I'm going to highlight this line because this line is the most important line. Okay, I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it. So now if I isolate just that, this is my line. So I'm also going to build, if you press down here, create a new layer. I can now build, as long as you're not writing on this. So example, if I'm doing something here, I'm doing on layer 1, it's going to show up on this layer. Whereas undo, if you click on this layer 2 and you write something on here, when you make it invisible, red bucket paint is not on there. So back here, undo. So I'm going to now make a line. So let's do size 10. This is lines for my own usage. So I'm gonna do 1. So how do I just do that? So if I press a dot and I go to the end of this line and I press shift without pressing anything else, if you use your mouse and click, that's one line. And you do it again, you find your next spot you want. As long as you hold shift, it'll be 2 perfectly straight lines. And then I want to, I think this is too thick, so I'm gonna make this a little thinner. Let's do 5. I'm gonna do this again. So here 1, much better. All right. I also want to make divides, like marks for these. So this is millions. I'm gonna make a new layer, and then instead of using this specific line, I am going to find a square. Oh, right here. So my rectangle tool, and then I'm going to do this. So this is my bar now. It's very tiny. Okay. I zoomed in by pressing Command the plus sign. This is a little too big. All right. So I am now going to repeat this. And then I'm going to make one the other way. So now I have my charts. So if you actually press the invisible eye for the vector layer, this is what you get. So you already kind of custom made your, okay, so I'm gonna highlight all this. Command T for grouping or Command T for transform. I'll put this down a little bit. Okay. And then I am going to right click. Oh, merge shapes. So now this is all one shape. I'm going to do the same for here as well. Merge shapes. And then there you go. So now they're all merged together. Let's radarize layer. So make sure you have two separate layers of the two lines. So what I mean by that is that I actually purposely made a layer of just one line. Okay, so now I'm going to save this. If you click off the shape layer 0 with the white background, now this is the background is transparent. So I'm going to save this as line graph. So now you open After Effects. This is a blank template. It's a little bit similar to Premiere Pro, where this is the section where you open your files. Here is where you work on your timeline, and here is when you see your file that you're working on. So first you go to new project, okay? Then you have to go right click on this project folder bin and you go new composition. So composition is basically a timeline. So this is a line graph, okay? And they're saying is 1920 by 1080, 29 frame rate, or you can do 25 as well. Let's do 25. Resolution full, and then you can set your duration. So your duration can be 15 seconds long. In this case, 15 seconds is fine. So you go okay. So now you have your line graph, okay? You're working on that. Okay, now you go right click, import multiple files. So what you're doing is that you're actually trying to import your line graph right here. So your line graph.psd. So you open it and it says composition. Okay, retain layer sizes. Yep. Editable layer style. So make sure this is clicked on and you go okay. And then you bring these 4 files down. Okay, so now as you can see, they're all kind of not in the folder file you're supposed to be at. So here are the key points. P is for position, okay? So right now, you need to move this to the according spot. So P, you see, when I do P, instead of moving it like this, you drag it off from here, from this position. So I'm going to position this right here, okay? And then this P again, and because we're going left and right, we're going to drag this one over. Perfect. So now this is pretty much what it looks like. So we need to label these, okay? We're going to do Franklin, bold, medium, regular, 0. This is too small. Zero, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45. Okay, and then here it'll be from, because that's week 1. So I'm going to skip one every other one I'm going to skip. So 3. So I am going to actually make sure they're all touching. I'm going to now group my numbers together. So this is one group. So to group it together is called pre-compose, okay? So this will be my millions numbers. And then this is my weeks numbers. So pre-compose is basically grouping it together or nesting in Premiere Pro. So this is my weeks numbers. Got it? So how do you animate it? That's will be the question you have. We're gonna first isolate everything. So just this one. Okay. So how we're gonna do this is the masking. So in this program, masking is your best friend. So masking is when you put a mask over an object or element and you dictate it to ask them to do whatever you want. So for example, I'm gonna have rectangle. This is how I make it a mask. I have a rectangular tool right here. Okay. I want to draw this mask. If I'm gonna put this right here. I'm gonna rename this mask layer for lines. Okay. If I put this trick mat right here, see this trick mat as alpha matte mask layer for lines. So right now, the other line's gone, and you only see this. So what you're gonna do is that now that it's masked onto it, what you can do is you can command to move whatever movement you want. So now, as if you're using this yellow rectangle to hide your mask, to hide or reveal. So first I'm going to hide away. So whatever is showing in this yellow is what's showing. So I'm going to put a position here. So it's keyframe or a time variant is what they call it. A second in. I'm going to go down. This is what you're going to see, okay? So you're like, what the heck? What do you mean by that? So the magic to this is that if you actually click on the layer you do want, let's say it's this line that you want to hide, you go to trick mat column right here. You go alpha matte line 1 mask. All of a sudden, it inverts it, meaning now there's animation for the first line. And now you do the same thing for the second line. So I want to work on this. Oh, nope. I want to work on this line now. Okay. So I do the exact same here. Remember to always click away from everything. Do not click on line layer 3 and then make the rectangular. It doesn't show up like that afterwards. Okay. You need to click away. So away. Now I'm going to make my next one with my click. So to click away, just click anywhere on your timeline. So I'm going to hit my next one. I'm going to repeat. I'm going to rename this so it's easier to look at. Rename. Line mask 2. I'm going to go down to where I want to show up. So now we can even do it earlier now. So we can go to the line you want it to reveal things. So alpha matte. So now it's hidden. Now it's shown. But what you're going to do is I can go exactly back to the point where this line is coming from. So this is your ultimate. Go to your line mask, which is the yellow box. P is for position. Here you go. And then you go to this one. And then you reveal this way. Now you're going the other way, to the left-hand side. See where I'm putting this. Okay? And this is what's going to happen now. Cool? So actually, I think I'm not going to have it shown like this. I'm going to do backwards. So what I'm going to do now is that instead of having this line go down, the vertical line go down, horizontal line goes top and bottom, and vertical line goes left to right, I'm going to have them start at the same point. Okay? So you can easily rearrange this by going back to your key. So now I'm actually reversing it. And then I'm going to end this way. So over here is where I click to the next, go to the next keyframe. And then I'm going to raise this from the top. Okay? So this is what you get now. Cool? And then you do it again with other lines, which I'm going to show you. Okay, so now we have to continue. So now we have to continue with other ones. So the next one we're going to work on are the lines. So let's do this one first. I'm just going to have it fade to make things easy. So to fade, you're going to go T for opacity. I don't know why it's T, but that's just the way it is. So around here, my opacity is 0. And then here, I'm going to do 100. And then same thing for the next one. Nope. Same thing for the next one. Opacity, sorry, I say opacity. Opacity is 100 here, so I put a time mark here. I go back, and then I match it with this one, and then 0. So this is what it look like. Okay? I want to actually make this even a little faster. So I can actually highlight the 2 key points, keyframes, and then make it, push it a little bit closer so it will appear faster. So now the last part of this part is this line. So what I'm gonna do is draw another mask. Okay. And put this mask right behind, or rename this mask as line. Okay. I'm going to go my trick mat here again. Track mat is main line mask. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to position. I'm going to click on the line mask. P for position, right? I'm going to go back here. I'm going to move this. Like that, okay? So that's how you do this first part. So when this is going on, I'm now going to show the numbers. So I'm going to do opacity, so that's 100 again. And then I'm going to move back and then make this 0. So it's going to look like this. I'll make this even a little longer. And then if you right click on this and you go keyframe assistant, you can go ease out, ease out. So it's a little bit smoother. And the ease in. It's a little smoother. Okay. So now the thing is that we need to actually give this a name. So I'm going to now, so this looks pretty good now, right? After the film's big win at the Oscars, its movie sales in the States propelled to 119% from just a week before. So what I actually want to show is this and this. This is week 18, this is week 19. Okay? So I'm going to draw. I'm going to do a circle here. I'm going to write something in here. 119%. And then you can actually do things to here. Like you can make a stroke here on top to the bubble. You can readjust this. Okay. See this? And if you click on these two layers together, you can move it together. Like this. But what I also can do is I can make this line make this circle appear from nothing. So that means what I can do is the size is R. No, that's rotation. Size is scale. Okay. So you press S for scale. If you can see here, you can also just pull this down and it will have all this. But I've learned the shortcuts. So S is scale, P is position, R is rotation, and opacity is T. I don't know why, but that's just what it is. So anyway, so we're gonna do scale. So we can do it from 0 to 100, like this. But you see how the circle is coming from this midpoint? The reason why is because this is the anchor point. So in order for it to actually appear right here, you need to reach our anchor point. So if you want to use your anchor tool, there's a pan behind. Oh, it's Y. Okay, and then you can drag this over to here. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so if you want to change your anchor point, because right now you see it's growing. So right now you see that it's showing up like this from this middle mark, and it's because the anchor point is right here. So this is the anchor point is basically the starting point. And to change it, you press this button called pan behind anchor point tool, or press Y as you can see, and then you can actually then drag it over to where you want it. So in this case, you want right here, and then it will pop up like so. But you want to probably make it a little faster. Probably want to make it a little faster. Just ignore the 119. We'll deal with that in a bit. Probably a little faster. Okay. Pretty good. And then what you can do is you can copy this like so. You put it above the 119, okay, and rename this as the 119 circle mask. You can trick matte to this, so you can put track matte to 119 circle mask. And what you can do now is if you go to 119 and you do P for position, you put your one keyframe here, and then you go back to where the circle first starts, and then you can actually move this up, meaning now you can have 119 perfectly dropping into the circle as if, you know, it's magic. You get it? But what I like to do is I like to add a little bounce to it. in order for you to add a bounce to it, what you do is that you press onto your keyframe as so. Before you press your keyframe, press Option, and then it will say expression. So then you copy and then paste the expression that you want to give it to. So yeah, you can actually adjust it if you want. Okay, so yeah, anyways, you can mess around with this. But yeah, this is how you add a little bounce to it. Make it 6. So anyways, this is how you make a bounce. And then you can also make the text bouncing when it lands as well. So same thing here. You toggle over the stop clock option, and then you paste it as well. And this decay, you can do okay. And that's how you make something bounce. Pretty easy, right? And of course, I also want to show these 2 spots, so I will also draw. I'm gonna click away from this. I will also draw. Oh, that's what I want. A line, a black line that points to these 2 spots that I want it to point to. So now this is all good, right? So I'm going to pre-comp this as 119%. And now I'm going to work on my next one, which is my line. So R is for rotation, right? So you click on R on the keyboard. And I want it to pretty much so I'm going to adjust the anchor point now to here, so it's easier for me to change. Okay. Oh. That looks pretty good. So usually I'll individually make like a mask for each, but because I want to move on to the next thing, I would just do it together. So I'm going to pre-comp this. Okay. And so when this appears, this will finally show up. So I'm going to do another mask again. The line. So around here, map the line, position, no position. And then I drag this backwards. So and this is what you get. And then I'm going to do ease in, ease out to make it so it's a bit smoother. Okay, so now that we've made all this, now we just have to give this chart a title. So we're gonna put all this and we're gonna pre-comp the whole thing as line graph. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do S for scale. So we're gonna make this a little bit smaller. So this way, if I line graph everything, I can I group the whole thing together, move together, okay? So now the line graph, I'm gonna lower the scale, make this smaller so I can actually put in my legends and my titles. So this looks pretty small. So what you can do is like this. Your title can be something like, okay, weekly box office, parasites, weekly box office in box office sales, ticket sales in the US. And this will be in the middle. And then we are going to label our graphs. A lot of people, as you can see from some of the effects from Vox, is that they like to put a box, like for example, they would make something like this. So I'm gonna now do let's do they can make a box like this. Okay. Put it underneath this headline. So then this, and what they'll do is that they can also use layers to make this look pretty nice. So for example, they can do something like this. So similar to what we did with this text again, I'll show you again. I can copy this specific layer like so. So this is my title mask, tail mask. And I can do an alpha matte. Do my position. So I'm gonna position here and then move up like the so. Oh. Okay. And then the title can also have a matte. For example, title text mask. And then snow trap mask. And then I put this title for the alpha to be alpha matte tile mask, tile mask, and then this can go down at the same time. So position again, keyframe here, move back, move this from up, so it can look like something like this. So of course it doesn't have to be down, right? You can also make it so it goes left or right. So for example, instead of going down, you can go, instead of going down, you can go left. Like so. Timing is everything with animation, so make sure it just actually looks like that. And then you can do this for these two as well, so I'm gonna keep doing it. So again, masking is, so here's my title now. So these four, I'm going to pre-comp it as my title for graph. Okay. Now it's down to these two. Okay. So let's always save your stuff. So there you go. That's the first one. So actually, it's important for you to go back and check how many seconds this part is going to take. It's 10 seconds long. Okay? So you have to now, right now, all this plays within six seconds. So what you need to do is make sure it hits around 8 seconds. So you're gonna have to make everything delay a little bit. So maybe the title goes first. So that means when you go back to the original line graph, this will now be a little bit late.
After the film's big win at the Oscars, its movie sales in the States propelled to 119% from just a week before.